All right, so we've got it looks like Electra Radio Corporation. This is an old A-Trac and record player. Um, this is back in the day, old school, made stuff out of decent wood. There's no way that anything they made like this nowadays would even remotely still be holding itself together. It would be just fell apart with just the metal left. But it's a lot of age on this. Regretfully, it's not in working condition or any good. Some people do like to buy record players and stuff, but as you can see, it's an A-Trac, and I know a whole lot of young folks have no clue what an A-Trac is. So maybe a record, but not an A-Trac. So y'all stick around, let's see what's in it. And younger folks, I gave you a little bit of homework there. Look up what an A-Trac is.
Rock bottle on the track, boy.
Alright, so we're going to start with cutting the cord. Just get it out the way. Some people like to open it up, cut it all the way off where it goes, whatever. Totally up to you. Everybody does stuff differently. I normally like to just cut them off, get it out of my way. You got the end there that you can cut off. Normally that's going to be brass ends right there. And move on from there. So, pretty sure top is ready to come off of here, but ooh, good day, what a screw. They don't make stuff like that no more, that's for sure. Since we're here, I like to go ahead and remove any and all screws that I can from whatever side I'm working on to try to get stuff out of the way. So go ahead and kill this stuff and get it released and out of the way. Old vinyl or leather there holding that together. So we will come back to that piece in a little bit. Let's see if we can't get on down inside here and see what's going on. So there's a couple little screws here and there. Nothing that I can really take apart. I don't have my other screwdrivers with me. I'm just rolling with a drill for now. So you don't have to get every little tiny piece. Instead of spending 15 minutes trying to get it out of that, just snip it off of there and, go on. So back then they would build the bottom and do all this soldering and putting everything together. And then build the rest around it. But that was back when we had, stuff was built to last. It was good workmanship. You could trust if you bought something 10 years later, it would still be there and working. Some people grab the wire and just straight rip it out, and if that's your thing, go for it. So I have an outside wood stove, so a lot of this stuff I put in my stove to burn. Why would I throw it in the trash in the landfill to sit and rot when I can get free heat out of it and it doesn't take up all that space? So I'm sure, as most y'all can tell, I try to be kind of self-sufficient. I try not to have a lot of trash to throw away. Try to take burnables down, burn them in my stove. Metals I try to take, where they need to go to be properly disposed of and recycled. It really cuts down on how much actual trash you have. I don't do too much with a garden most of the time. I do sometimes, it just depends. If I know that I plan on doing a garden, then I'll compost some of that trash. Maybe run it through a shredder, paper shredder, or throw my banana peels in there and other fruits and ends and stuff like that, and try to create a compost as fertilizer for that stuff. But I've done those in the past, and I know I stay so busy I don't have time to really tend a garden most of the time anyway. Alright, so looking down in here, this is your A-Trac side. So this is what turns this is the motor here. It turns your tape inside that A-Trac so the head can read it. We've got a transformer here, a motor here, brass in, brass end. This over here was your slides and adjustments and that kind of thing. This right here looks like it's a power board. It splits your power. This is your transformers that split your power. You got a couple capacitors here and that kind of thing. But all this stuff looks like it is bolted to the bottom. So, at this point, I'm going to flip it over and see if we can unscrew some of this stuff. Yeah, whatever. So there's a metal frame. That all the wood was bolted to. That was the transformer. Let's see if we can't roll it back over here. Stuff falling out everywhere. Potato bugs. Don't worry, they won't hurt you. Alright. So again, free wood for the stove that I don't have to cut. Bottom piece is ready to come off. We just have to clip a couple wires here to finish freeing it up. So there's this piece. We'll come back to in a minute. Of course, I got the wrong bit for this stuff. phase one. Take the pliers and grab this side. Alright, so I'll just whack this piece with a hammer, knock it off of the wood there, throw the rest of that wood in the stove, and the rest of these metal pieces will come out of my stove in the bottom. We have created a mess on the table, which is half the fun. Can't make some semblance of a clean spot again. So this is going to be aluminum. It's not magnetic at all. So this is aluminum heat sink for what looks like 4 transistors. These are the old school ones, so you need to look them up and see what's in them. This right here, these are all they store energy, capacitors. You've got 2 little transformers here. There is other transistors and components on the board. I think these green dipped ones might actually have something valuable in those, being as old as they are. So I'll take all that apart, and at some point in my life I might actually, these may be tantalum resistors. So yeah, kind of neat to see some of the old stuff, because the old stuff was built with good stuff, you know. That's just kind of how it is. So here's our transformers that popped out of there. So cut these wires here and let them run around here. I definitely don't keep as nice of a bench of scrap at all, but so alright, so we've got some screws holding this stuff down. We'll see if they'll release or if I can even get to them with the drill. Yeah, it's not going to reach that one. I did actually pull that one out, which surprised me. And that one, shoot. Alright, so transformer. Transformers and motors go in the same bin. You're welcome to pry that open and remove the copper from it for a higher price, if you feel it's worth your time. Right here's another transformer. And then right here is not really much of nothing. Looks like they created kind of like bus bars for whatever. Capacitors. If you're going to do this stuff, learn what capacitors look like. If you get something that has not, or that has been plugged up and it hasn't had a long time to discharge, the capacitor will discharge on you. So you need to know what a capacitor is and how to look for it and how to discharge them. So the rest of this here I'll just toss over in the in the shred. Of course, all this stuff is just shred, all these screws and bolts and things like that. But we do have two transformers with quite a bit of weight. Pound and a half maybe. I don't know, I'm not good with weight. We've got this piece, so there's two more transformers there and some other goodies to look up and see what it is, along with a nice piece of aluminum here. And that's probably going to be sheet aluminum. Let's see if we can't scoop a bunch of this off and get it out of our way before we pull up the next part. Alright, so we'll go back to this piece. So I'm gonna tell you, inside of this there may be some silver plating on those slide pieces. And this is those, they slide, you know, that's the old switches. There very well could be something in there that's important. There's not anything in there that I'm really worried about, to be honest. To me, recovering silver just takes way too much time, unless it's big pieces, and then I'm not going to refine it. I'm just going to melt it into a big bar and send it off to a refiner to do. They do it all the time. They've got the equipment, and you know, seems to me like the better option to do that. Then you don't have to worry about off gassing and what you can smell and can't smell and what's going to hurt you and all that. They do it all the time. They know what they're doing. Let them do their job. Alright, let's see if we can't release. Actually, my bit slid on me, so let's see if we can't get it back out here where it's supposed to be. It's a little more useful that way. Yeah. Again, these screws are too small for me and what I have. So I mean, I'm gonna recover this motor off of here, and I don't have another screwdriver sitting here that I can use. I'm gonna recover this transformer and probably this, because I think that's cast aluminum with a brass piece in it, and I'm gonna pull this brass piece off of that motor. Let's see what type of screws and bolts we have over here that I can do. Alright, so here's the case for that motor. This is going to be magnetic, so it's shred. This piece should be about ready to come out of here. And of course, my drill doesn't like it. It's always one, always. So this is actually, it can go in the motors. Let me make sure I got you on frame. This can go in the motors, but it's a solenoid. So you can pull this metal piece off and pop this out. When it engages, it pulls in the plunger, and when it disengages, it pushes that plunger back out. That's all a solenoid does. But that's all copper windings on there. So you can pop that apart, smash it up a couple times, and get that goodness out of there if it's something that you would like. These right here, let's see if it'll come off if I take that off. Just because I was looking, those are going to be brass. Those are pretty nice pieces of brass too. So you can just take this and should be able to just take this and basically do that, and they'll probably pull right out of there with the right tools and equipment, so you can get a little bit of pressure on them. Yeah, see? So you just clip the ends off here, and you have a nice little chunk of brass. So yeah, I'd remove the solenoid. There's one screw holding it in. I'm not going to kill myself to get it out. I'll wait till I have the proper tool for that. Once I pull that solenoid, I'll toss the rest over in a shred. They can shred that and get all the rest of the metals out of that properly. We gotta take a closer look at that. So am I getting rich doing this? No, I'm not. And that's not really what I do it for. Some of the copper I use, and oh, that's interesting piece of metal right there. I think that's brass, but I'm not positive. Anyway, that's got some weight to it, so it's gonna be some type of cast aluminum or something. It's got a little ring right here. I'll pop it off later. I'm not fooling with it right now. Sometimes you just want to play with the small stuff, and sometimes you want to tear stuff down, so I make little stacks. This right here will come off of here when you take these two screws out, and then this right here has got a little screw right there, and then you can pull this piece of brass off and add it to your brass and toss that motor over into the motors. So that leaves us with the original piece from the top when we started. Now, there may be alright, come on now. There it goes. Yeah, there's a couple wires in there. I have no idea. And I've never even thought about looking up what runs the record players, what the actual metal is there. So I don't know if it's something that I need to go after or not. Most of this stuff though just kind of looks like shred. We do have a couple plugs and this motor that turns the turntable, I would think, and that kind of thing. So there's a few things that we're going to want to remove off of here. This wire right here is actually decent, has a decent gauge to it. It's not small, cheap, you know. So when we're looking at 8 gauge, 10 gauge, 8 gauge, no, 16 gauge would be my guess. This has got something on it. Does it say? No, it doesn't. Go figure. Anyway, that's some pretty heavy duty wire. This is going to be a switch right here. So it's going to have a little bit of brass and a little bit of copper in there if that's something you want to go after. Now you go through all of that just to get to the last piece that you want, and find out that there is flathead screws holding it in, and the screwdriver I have is too wide. All right, hang on, I'll be back. All right, I had to go on the hunt. I got one. So this is not the most valuable piece on here, but it does hold a bit of value. And you can throw this in with motors, you can take it apart, you can pretty much do whatever you want with it. Ooh, look what was hiding underneath. Is that brass we see? Oh, it is. It's brass. So that's some brass risers there. We should be able to just grab a hold of if I get the right tool. And twist. Alright, it's going to take a little more twisting than that, but that's alright. I'll grab those in a... I kind of want them now. There's probably a screw in the top if you pull the turntable up. I'll get them later, no big deal. This video's already long as I don't know what. But yeah, so here's your motor. So pretty much the exact same thing in a microwave. That's pretty much the same fan motor, same type of deal. There's little pieces of copper here you can clip and cut off. It is a solid stator. It's not really much in there to get, although it is copper colored on both sides, which is kind of interesting. But if you put this, if you take this bracket the rest of the way off and pull this piece out and squeeze this side in a vise, this right here will pop right out and you're just basically left with a roll of copper. So yeah. Let's see if I can. I'm gonna have to set my tools up down here so I can do what I need to do. Oh, there it is. Needs a whack. And that piece is probably brass too, so. But yeah, that's pretty much an old record player, or not even record player. That's an old record slash, you know, A-Trac player. So we hope y'all enjoyed.